Hello, everyone.
Hello!
Is everyone out there in?
Hope you all are well and have gotten to sleep.
I barely did.
So I don't think we have. We got a lot of people here today.
Ooh, good thing.
But we are all here for big exciting news. There was something called a Star Wars trailer last night, and we have Alex from Star Wars Explained here with us to chat with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Just ready to keep on talking.
Yeah,
I didn't talk enough about it last night, I guess.
I feel like that's all anybody is doing right now is talking about this. So, right at home.
Yeah. Right.
We're assuming that everyone in the chat has seen this before. If not, then you're late to the party.
But yeah, we're really excited to talk about this with you guys. But so yeah, I think we're all a little bit tired. I was able to get my tickets. Alex, were you grabbing yours last night?
I did. I got tickets for me, Molly, and 8 friends.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So what were you and Molly put your trailer reaction on Twitter, which I got to see. I put mine up, but like just for those of us, there's so many people. Hello, everyone. And yeah, we'll fix the typo in the stream.
I can be Andy.
I think it's a holdover from when we had Andy from Ramblings.
Nope, that's exactly what it
is. So there's probably worse people to be compared to. But yeah, I'm just mind blown by the trailer, but I also am shocked because like we don't know anything. Like I know people who didn't want to watch the trailer because they were afraid it was going to tell them too much. But I feel like we saw a lot, and yet I know nothing.
Yeah, it felt like just a long teaser, really, which I think is good. Like, they don't need to tell us what the movie is about exactly. We're all going.
Right.
They put the tickets on sale before the trailer dropped. They knew.
Right.
It was already crashing ticket sites before the trailer even came out, so.
And they said I saw on CNBC the first hour of ticket sales outsold Endgame, but I don't know if that counts as like when tickets were supposed to go on sale or when they actually went on sale. But I think that's also because Endgame tickets went on sale when most of America was at work versus home watching football. But still, personally, I'm just annoyed I couldn't buy my cat's tickets.
They big Star Wars fans?
Yep. No, I mean like the Cats movie. Do a double.
Oh, no, I wasn't following that either. I was like, when did you get a cat?
Yeah.
Oh, but so like, what was everybody's just initial impressions? I guess like, what did it make you? I mean, we talked about this at length already. I know, but like what were just like your general feelings? Like, are you more excited, less excited? Like.
For me personally, it was a very nostalgic trailer, which is 100% what J.J. Abrams is like good at. I mean, that was what Force Awakens felt like so much, was just this big like hug. It felt like a giant hug. And I feel like this is going to be a giant hug, but with more explosions.
Hug with it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I pretty much maintained my level of excitement. I don't know that it made me more or less. Like, I was just glad to watch it. I remember at the end of it just thinking, like, they didn't show a ton, which I'm happy about. And I was like, I don't even know how to break this down. And then I talked for like 15 minutes about it. And I think that's like the longest trailer breakdown I've ever done. But I guess that's partly because there's so much up in the air.
Right.
And I was just speculating on everything. So I'm wrong about all of it, I'm sure. But
It's interesting to me. I saw somebody say on Twitter last night. I want to say that it was Matt Martin who tweeted this.
Mhm.
That the theme of the trailer was just such hope, and I think that that's such an interesting thing that comes through in a trailer that shows very little of like the plot of the film, but
Mhm.
I think is an important kind of note to get out of the last one of these.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like for me, I probably am more excited, and I already was excited, but for me, it was just like the not seeing anything thing. It was just my imagination could run too wild, not seeing anything. So like now that I have something I can fixate on for 2 months, I'm like, okay, I can do something with this. I can look at something. I have something I can look at frame by frame. It's a little bit more tangible than like, are we sure this movie is really happening? Did I just dream Celebration and this isn't going to be a thing? So I'm pretty jazzed. But like as far as the trailer itself, I want to know what is going on because at least half of that trailer is in this weird like space where almost every shot you can see lightning in the background, which makes me think it's the same area. Uh, but like you have space warthog horses riding on a star destroyer in like a lightning filled ice. I don't know what's going on.
That's
like I really don't know.
The Orbax, the space horses are what's throwing me off the most.
Yeah,
because it says like we know from Entertainment Weekly or something that they are from Pisana, and Pisana is the desert planet that we've seen a handful of times, but we see them riding the horses on like that grassy, hilly plain landscape.
Right.
So like immediately you're kind of like, are those the same planet? Because they're different biomes, and that's what Star Wars usually does. But they could be just different parts of the same planet. Why not?
Right.
But then we're also seeing the Orbax riding on the Star Destroyers, and like, does like most of the movie take place on Pisana, or maybe all this stuff is in like the first hour of the film,
right?
And
we haven't even seen that.
Yeah.
I think there's one of the shots with Rose where you can see Dom Monahan's character in the background. It looks like they're loading onto a thing, so like maybe I can't pronounce anything properly in Star Wars, so I apologize. But the Orbex or whatever they're called, maybe they get loaded up from Pisana and taken somewhere else, and that's why we see them in different places.
Yeah, it definitely looks like an evacuation. That's the vibe I got. Like Rose and Dominic and Connix are all kind of helping people get off of the planet or off the Star Destroyer or whatever's happening.
And it could just be like the whales from Rebels. They could just, fly through space on their own.
Tales in Whale Space. The upcoming book series that we've been trying to get written and hasn't gotten written yet. Well, and then you have the planet at the beginning of the trailer where we see the shot. I'm presuming the shot where Rey hugs Leia is also the planet she's training on. And what's going on there? I went through the trailer frame by frame earlier, and there's that really cool shot where like Rey's jumping over the canyon and then she's jumping on the Death Star ruins. I mean, this is probably obvious, but at the same time, I wanted to check because I don't know what is going on in the trailer. But like, they're definitely different points because she has a backpack when she's in the Death Star shot and not when she's training. So that was literally just a match on action. But I'm really curious, like, what's going on there? Like, is that training go awry, or is that she's just running a lot?
Yeah,
I mean, Rey really does like just running places with her lightsaber. So, I
mean, if I had a lightsaber, I would just run.
I don't think I would. I would like hold it at arm's length and walk very carefully.
Be like that poster for Jedi Outcast where he's just like dragging it along the wall.
Yeah,
that would be me.
One of my favorite memes in high school was like a pie chart. And it was like people who could wield lightsabers, or people wielding lightsabers correctly, and it was like 1%, and it was like 99% you cut your own arm off. I was like, that's about right.
Yeah. I was like, maybe those training remotes have like different intensity settings, and we've only seen them like on a 1 and Grave dials and up to a 10, and they chase her around and stuff.
Could be. I had a question for you, or for anybody who might know. there was the Freeform special on Galaxy's Edge, and people heard Rey talking about Bakura in that, if I'm remembering correctly. What are the odds that like the base that Leia has on Bakura is the jungle planet we see at the beginning of the trailer?
I want to say low.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since I've read Truce
Yeah, I know,
at Bakura, but I'll see if it's a jungle planet real quick.
I mean, it wouldn't have to be. They could just use the name.
That's true. But then why not call it something else?
Yeah, that's true. That's valid.
I don't know. Why call it Bakura?
Yeah.
But they have done that before where they have just used a name and changed things.
Yeah.
Bakura looks like a planet with multiple biomes. So what is this?
Oh my gosh. I usually like to say hello to everybody in chat, but I cannot say hello to 50 people. But hello to all of you, and thank you all so much for being here. But yeah, that was I really want to know, like, too. I mean, obviously we're gonna see it, but like, it seems logical that the start of the movie would be wherever Rey is training. She's probably not gonna just go into a jungle and train halfway through the movie and like leave the Death Star, go train in a jungle, and go back to the Death Star or something. So, like,
gotta grind out those levels.
Yeah, right. She does. It's just, it's like going back to Felucia in The Force Unleashed. But so it would make sense she would start there, and then they all have to leave for whatever reason, and then go to Pasana. But then there's obviously an Imperial battle there. The desert biome area is where we saw the Knights of Ren. We didn't see any Knights of Ren in the trailer. Yeah. I still hope they actually exist and they're not just teasing me. I need my dark side boy band.
The thing that I'm trying to put in my head about the structure of this movie is, I remember JJ saying that shot of Rey with Leia and Poe in that jungle scenery, that was early on in the film, and it was right after they had finished some sort of mission.
Okay.
Something I've been saying and pushing for is I really hope the Death Star stuff happens right after the crawl. Like,
okay,
I want that to be kind of a Raiders of the Lost Ark style. Okay. We're at the end of an adventure, and it led to the Death Star. We're going in. They meet Kylo, and they have to escape him.
Okay.
And then maybe they'll go from the Death Star over to this jungle planet, and that'll be like the first half hour of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that too. The Death Star ruins themselves are a thing that's kind of confusing me, and I feel like that's one of those things in the movie that's either going to have a Star Wars science explanation or it's going to have a really crazy explanation. Man, you brought out Hello Greedo. Hello Greedo.
Oh, hey Greedo.
Where they'll either just be like, that explosion you saw at the end of Return of the Jedi did not actually totally incinerate everything, and there's totally wreckage. Because isn't there like an infamous debate about like the Endor Holocaust from like way probably before even my obsessive time in Star Wars?
I think that, yeah, there was like, of course stuff would fall on Endor, but they talked about how the rebellion put up like shield generators to protect things.
I do remember speculation after the first Force Awakens trailer that before we knew that Jakku was Jakku, that might be like the wasteland of Endor.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That's crazy. But I wonder if it's going to be as simple as there was wreckage, you just couldn't tell from the big explosion, and that wreckage ended up wherever it is, or if there's going to be some kind of more crazy Force element involved. Like, that's the one thing I can't get my finger on the pulse of. Like, is this, like, just how wild is JJ wanting to go in this movie if he's already bringing Palpatine back in some manner?
I think it's probably going to be pretty simple. I wonder if they're even going to touch on it. They're just going to be like, look, the Death Star ruins landed here. And like, I hope it's not anything like, I think the glove of Darth Vader, one of those old Legends books, like the explosion of the second Death Star caused like a black hole. And like stuff got sucked into it and transported across the galaxy. Like, we don't need any of that. Just like a piece of it flew off and hit another planet. And that's or that is Endor. I don't think it is, but like that planet too, where in the first teaser they're looking out at the Death Star wreckage, like that looks like the place where they're riding the Orbaks. So I'm like, is that also Pisana? Does everything happen on Pisana?
Is it all there, or are they just taking the Orbaks everywhere? Are they the new Porgs, and they're just everywhere?
That's what Porgs grow up to be, and we've just not seen adult Porgs yet.
They're like Pokemon; they just completely change form after a while. Let's see, and like I think that's the thing with Palpatine too. Is I'm really curious how they bring him back, because I have been a big stickler for a while that I don't want Anakin's status at the end of Return of the Jedi messed with. I don't want it made null. I want like Anakin to have done something very important and have killed Palpatine. But I also don't want a clone. So like I'm being really Goldilocks about Palpatine right now. And like if it's done well, I'll take it. It's fine. Like I was completely wrong about what The Last Jedi was going to be, and I ended up enjoying it. So it's not like I need it. But I get why there's a mystery, and I get why he won't tell us. But I feel like I could be a little bit more calmer if I knew exactly how he was, not exactly, but had a clue as to how he was coming back.
I'm the same way, where I really didn't like Dark Empire, specifically the cloned Emperor. That just frustrates me. It's like, it seemed like you're just out of ideas and you're bringing back the big bad. And so I'm like iffy on Palpatine coming back now, but I keep reminding myself that just because I wasn't crazy about Dark Empire doesn't mean they can't do something cool now. I gotta let that go. I don't want him to be a clone. I agree. I want Anakin to have killed him and ended the Sith. But, you know, this could also tie in with Kylo saying that he would finish what his grandfather started. He probably meant something else when he was saying that, but I still want Anakin to be involved. And I mean, he's going to be in there as a Force ghost.
He has to be.
Like, I'm just still crossing my fingers. So maybe he's still around.
That's my one thing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of Anakin, you know, I feel like that's how a lot of us feel, is we're at least expecting some sort of, you know, cameo appearance or something in the film. But I saw a lot of people on Twitter that were disappointed that wasn't in the trailer, and I'm like, really? Would you have wanted that in the trailer? Like that would be giving like way too much away.
It's totally, and I don't think it'll be a big, like whatever they do. I don't think they'll make it like a 20-minute plot line. For me, what I was always kind of hoping they would do with the role with Anakin is, we are a I would say a Reylo friendly channel. We're not necessarily Reylo shippers, but we're like I'm okay with the idea. But I've never really wanted Kylo to turn specifically because he was in love, even though I'm fine if that's where it goes. I wanted like a redeemed Ben, if anything, to end up with Rey. And I thought that Anakin showing up and being like, look, you dork, I didn't die as Darth Vader. That mask you've been praying to for like however many years isn't me. Get your act together and like go do what you're supposed to do. I always thought that would be a really good catalyst for his turn, as somebody who could get through to him and be like, stop spiraling out of control in a way that worked, and somebody he would respond to, and it's not just him turning because he's trying to please someone per se, but like somebody who could get him and give him some understanding.
I really like the idea that, I mean, we heard the line from Luke about confronting fear. That's the path of a Jedi, and that's your path. You kind of assume Luke's probably talking to Rey, but I like the idea a lot that he's talking to Ben.
Yeah,
And like if it's him and Anakin and Yoda and Obi-Wan
They
and
all show
Qui-Gon, they're all just like they all sat Kylo Ren down. They're like, "Stop being a dummy."
listen, buddy, get it together. I don't know who out there watches How It Should Have Ended, but the How It Should Have Ended for Return of the Jedi is great because it's just like Luke looking at the Force Ghost at the end, and like everyone shows up, and like the younglings show up, and they're like, "This is awkward." It's a good one. But yeah, that's something I would love to see, and it's something easy enough to do. You don't have to, a regular Star Wars audience already understands Force Ghosts. Even just within the sequel trilogy, we already saw Yoda, so we know that that's plausible. And like just having Mark Hamill back, I mean, we know he's going to be in it in some capacity. He has that one Vanity Fair image that no one really talks about because we don't know where it fits in, if it's a flashback or if it's a scene and he's not touched up to look like a Force Ghost yet. But
He basically said he was going to be a Force Ghost.
yeah,
He like came out and said it.
yeah. Well, I mean, he's dead. Like the only other thing would be is if he didn't play Luke. Like if he was just Mark Hamill's back, but now he's playing Knight of Ren #4.
Playing that, what was the character he did in Canto Bite?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
The little leprechaun guy.
Yep.
Yeah, who like burps in BB-8's face. He's just returning. He's gonna have a major role. That is actually the father of Babu Frick, and no, it's not. What about Zori? We saw her in the one shot off to the side, so she's hit trailer status. There's was it Empire or Entertainment Weekly shot where she's like handing the disc to Poe.
That was
so
EW, I think.
EW.
Pretty recently.
The leading theory is it's a piece that can go in the back of 3PO's head. The line in the trailer where Poe's like, "What are you doing, 3PO?" and then 3PO has his really sentimental line. I don't think they're in order. Like I feel like 3PO is probably saying that about his friends, and then he probably goes into red eye mode, and then Poe's probably like, "What are you doing?" in red eye mode is my guess. But I kind of wonder how Zori ties into all of that.
I think that her being present for that scene probably corroborates the idea that whatever disc that is has to do with 3PO.
Mm-hmm.
I that line really hit me. I wasn't expecting 3PO to have like the line of the trailer.
Right. Like, well, and I feel like because of there was that shot of him on the infamous poster where he has like all of Chewbacca's stuff, and everybody I think was like mentally preparing for what if Chewie dies, and so then to have it flip on me, and I'm like, wait, no, I was trying to mentally prepare for Chewie. I've done this once in Legends. Are you telling me I have to prepare for 3PO dying? What is happening?
I still don't think either of them are gonna die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like that line could mean so many things, and my initial thought was that he is. I've heard people talking about the idea that he needs to access his old memories that were wiped. I think that's a really cool idea. Easy way to tie into the prequel trilogy.
Yep.
But I guess doing so would then mean he would forget everything that happened to him since then. So the past like 50 years. But I also saw someone suggest that what if that line is kind of misdirection and he is like looking at his friends, Anakin and Padme and Obi-Wan, and like he's looking at his memories, but they're about to be taken away again or something like that. Like, that's a nice idea too.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Also, I feel like that makes more sense because, in theory, if you're unloading one disc and putting another disc back in, can't you then take the disc out and put his old memories back in? Like, why would he have to lose?
Yeah.
Does no one have a spare thumb drive? Like, it's just like, what is this?
It's always funny, like Star Wars has all this crazy technology, but also lacks the most simple things. Like, yeah, where's the other thumb drive? Or like, why can't Han just PayPal Jabba?
Right, it's like and send the money. Or like, to this day, I crack up when I watch Rogue One and Jyn is running with like the giant disc on her hip, and everyone's like, the file's probably really big. I'm like, they have hyperspace. The file is not too big, but that's the fun part of it. Is all of the wackiness. He's still watching New Hope, and it's got those great 1970s what they thought the future would look like graphics. But yeah, with 3PO, I feel like whatever mode he goes into might tie into the red eyes. I kind of wonder if the red eye thing I think that was in the D23 footage. I wonder if that was actually just going to be like a 5-second thing, like Frick accidentally flips a kill switch that we didn't know 3PO had, and then he unflips it. He's like, whoops, sorry, don't do that again. Or if the red eyes are a sign of whatever the disc is that Zori might bring.
It's interesting. There was like a Lego short or part of I never watched like the old Lego cartoons, but there is one where R2 gives 3PO his old memories back and his eyes turn red, and it's like this goofy little Lego kids short. But
I'm excited to finally get to see all the Lego stuff when Disney Plus comes out, because there's a couple people in chat even who've been yelling at me to give them a shot. But
Freemaker Adventures is pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to give that a shot, because right now I can only find All Stars legally, so I'm excited to get Freemakers legally. But I didn't really think too much about 3PO, mostly until this trailer, because it just seemed like, whatever he was doing with the bowcaster or red eyes or whatever would be like his Attack of the Clones bit. But I feel like it's not going to be just a comedic bit if they're playing it up for sentiment in this trailer. That would be kind of a weird reversal.
Red eyes are him entering pun mode.
I love it. Or some kind of shout out. It's not going to be this, and I know it's not going to be this, but I would lose my mind if it was some kind of shout out to 000. It's not going to be.
Yeah,
I lose my mind.
I would love it, but no way.
It won't be. But let's see it's one of those things where like, what about there's the shot, it's actually my wallpaper now because I love it. There's a shot where the TIE fighters are flying in, and there was a shot where some people think that it's underwater, some people think it's like ice reflected over a lake. I wonder if it's not all in space, but it's the TIE fighters going into that big ice place. I don't really know what else to describe it as.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. Like, my first thought was like, oh, that's clearly a glacier floating in water, and then people are like, the reflections don't match, and then like maybe it's just incredibly clear water. But yeah, that would be cool if it were just a floating ice block.
Somewhere there it is. Well, and two, I was going through it. We don't have the trailer to go through frame by frame, but like when the TIE fighters fly in, off to the side, it almost looks like you can still see stars, and I can't tell if that's an angle thing or because like I almost wonder, is this a city or is this the Star Destroyer covered in ice when we see later in the trailer something breaks out of the ice?
Yeah,
right.
I like that.
There's so much going on because we see the fleet in the D23 footage, and none of those are covered in ice. So I don't know if their defrosters worked and this one's didn't work, or what was going on there. But then I wonder, like, is whatever that is where that Palpatine throne is?
Yeah, that Palpatine throne. I don't know why. I can't really explain it, but it makes me think of the underworld kind of concept art with Luke and Vader and Palpatine, but like they're covered in lava or surrounded by lava.
Yeah.
But this is like completely the opposite. It looks like they're surrounded by ice, but I'm still like, that feels like that concept art.
Yeah.
I think that's intentional.
Yeah, especially the throne.
Yeah. I think you could have something thematic about that too, though, because in the concept art, it was Vader taking Luke to Palpatine when Palpatine was still at the height of his power, where this, I think, is invoking that image, but putting it in cold as a sign of, like, he's not at the height of his power. He's kind of hidden in darkness, trying to come back out.
That's cool.
Trying to turn his defroster on.
Hell froze over.
Exactly. Well, I live in Michigan, where hell freezes over every year. There's literally a city called Hell, Michigan. So I love that phrase when people use it. The other big thing is the shot of Rey and Kylo fighting each other, fighting a statue with
I think they're working together. Yeah.
Yeah. With a thing that looks like Vader's helmet. What's confusing me about that is a shot where they would be destroying a thing that's Vader's helmet is such a weird thing to just kind of throw in a trailer montage. Like,
Right.
It's not a moment in the trailer like the 3PO moment. Like, it's literally a thing you have to go through. And if you go through frame by frame, like what you see, it's clearly Vader's helmet. But it just, to me, it seems like a weird, like, to put that moment in the trailer, I think there's got to be more going on there than meets the eye.
There's so much stuff in here where I'm like, I'm surprised they showed that.
Yeah.
So, like, if they're showing us this, there has to be more to it. Like, what are they not showing us?
Right. Like, because I feel like Vader's mask getting destroyed would be a symbolic point for Kylo/Ben, but he's wearing the mask in that shot. So that's weird. And then that's the shot with the Rey dagger, which looks like a smaller version of, to me, it looks like a smaller version of the sword from the Mortis trilogy. But again, I'm trying to make everything world between worlds, and I gotta not do that. But I'm just saying, it happens to look like that sword, but smaller. But
I don't think it's the Mortis dagger.
No.
Like, they couldn't just have her pick it up and be like, and then explain what it is.
Right.
How would they do that?
Here's this mural over here on the wall. I don't know.
And yeah, Kylo's helmet is something that I've been curious about for a while, because, like, we get to see it being reforged.
Right.
Some time has passed since The Last Jedi, so it's not like he kills Snoke and he's like, I'm going to put my helmet back together. It's like, no, a year passes or something. And then in the movie, he makes the decision to rebuild it. So why?
Mm-hmm. I almost wonder if there's not going to be, and maybe 500 other people have thought this, but like Kylo's rebuilding his helmet and Rey has to rebuild the saber. And I think both of them having to rebuild this iconic thing might have some kind of cool parallel story to it. I'm also really curious about the saber, because that was one of the few hints we got at the panel at Celebration for Rise of Skywalker. Was Daisy said she gets the lightsaber back, which she knew she could say because it was going to be in the trailer, but it wasn't the end of the story. So, like, what does that mean? Like, you start with this lightsaber, and does she get to make her own? I don't know.
I think there's going to be a point where Kylo or Ben, at that point, maybe summons the lightsaber to himself again, because he failed to do it in The Force Awakens. He kind of does it in The Last Jedi, but Rey catches it, and this time he'll get to be worthy. It's kind of like his Mjolnir.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that it would be. Oh, hey, man, so many cool people here today. Sorry, again, I usually like to say hi to everybody, but y'all are talking so darn fast. I feel like with Rey too, a lot of people are holding out that she'll make like a saber staff at some point, which I think would be pretty cool. And I don't know if it'll be here.
We didn't get to see any more of Dark Rey,
right?
Whatever that is. Like, there's still so much other stuff that was like in the D23 footage. They were like, no more context for that.
Yeah, no, it's just there. Well, and I'm still holding that Dark Rey is going to be like a Dagobah cave situation, just because otherwise that's just one more plot line. Like, I'm not against the idea of a Dark Rey story at all. I just don't feel like they've set her up falling at all in the last two movies. Like, she gets kind of angry in The Last Jedi, but I feel like her leaving Kylo the way she does in The Last Jedi is the idea of like, and like the way she can like lift the rocks at the end. Like, everything to me at the end of that movie was her journeying more towards the light path where
Right.
if you compare that to Luke, the revelation that Vader was his father was supposed to make you afraid that he could go to the dark side. And Luke had the vision of himself in the Dagobah cave. So then you get to Return of the Jedi, and that's are they going to save the day, or is Luke going to join Vader and join his father? But like they haven't really set that tension up with Dark Ray as much to me personally. But apparently, like everyone interprets these movies completely different, which is the fun of it. I think that's a good sign that they're making good things.
Yeah, like I think I agree that it's probably just going to be a vision. I don't
Mm-hmm.
it. I think that'll bum me out a little bit, just because if you're going to show it in the teaser, I feel like
Right.
I want it to mean something, or else it's going to happen in a vision. We'll just be like, oh, okay, well, that's over, I guess.
Yeah.
See, part of me, like the the chaotic evil part of me, just wants that to have been in the D23 footage and not in the film at all.
Just to mess with you.
Yep.
Everything in the D23 footage was actually a collection of deleted scenes. We find out later.
JJ lies.
He does. He really does. He claims he learned his lesson, but has he? We don't know. He did.
We'll
There were less lens flares in this trailer. I noticed that. What about Finn? We see a lot of good stuff from Finn. He gets some voiceover in this trailer. He gets the line about how like the Force seems to be bringing them together, which I like, because my favorite line in The Force Awakens is when he looks at Han and is like, "We'll use the Force," and Han says that's not how the Force works. So I love the idea that Finn just like talks about the Force all of the time and doesn't always get what he's saying.
Or maybe he's learned.
Or maybe he's learned. I mean, I wouldn't. There's also that. I mean, I bought one of those Poe Jedi Warrior shirts that were floating around Twitter because I was like, I love this too much. This is either a huge spoiler in a shirt or the worst shirt ever, and I want it either way. Either way, I need this shirt. But there's some people wondering if they're not going to do like a KOTOR 2, turn all of your companions into Force users kind of thing. There was a line from JJ way back in the day, going into before The Force Awakens came out, saying how he kind of saw it as everybody has access to the Force. Because I remember people were wondering if that's what The Force Awakens was going to mean. And
I speculated that, yeah.
Yeah, and then it seemed to refer more to Rey. But now that JJ's kind of back, it's kind of, I wonder if he'll go back to some of his old ideas.
Yeah, I thought of the idea of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the series finale. So normally with the Slayers, there's only one per generation, but there are a bunch of potential Slayers. So Buffy makes it so that any potential Slayer gets to be a Slayer. So that was just what my mind went to, was like, oh, what if everyone can be Force sensitive now instead of just the select few?
And that maybe that's the sign of the Force being more in balance, that it's not held behind a wall anymore or something like that.
I do hope that the Skywalker saga ends with the Skywalkers really changing the Force and how it is and how it works and all that.
And achieving something. Finally not making the galaxy worse by going around and messing everything up.
Hopefully they leave a good legacy.
Yeah, because right now it's pretty much like Leia, who has managed to not completely screw up the galaxy. I'm hoping. I think the one thing I am nervous about with the movie, but I have also decided to not hold it against the movie because there's only so much they can do about it, is I just really hope that whatever they do with Leia works. But I also understand there's only so much they can do. There's been different people who wonder if they might do like an off-screen death for her. There's people who categorically don't want that and don't want Leia to die in the movie. Either way, it's just, if they're really just using, because they're using the cut footage from her when Maz was supposedly on the car, right? I think that's what the
I think they just have a handful of stuff like that.
I kind of wonder. I assume. I know they're not going to like digitally recreate her, but I feel like they've probably digitally changed her clothes because she's not wearing the same outfit. Yeah, and I think that's fair. That doesn't impact the performance. I don't think that's disrespectful. But I don't know. That's the one thing I'm kind of waiting to figure out what they do with Leia. But I also am like, as long as it looks like they tried to be respectful, I'm not really going to be mad about it.
I was wondering. I don't know why this trailer, because I also don't want her to die in the movie, but I did kind of get this vibe. Like, what if she becomes one with the Force? That, and I don't know. That sits okay with me.
Yeah, like maybe at the end, like depending on how they ended, if the galaxy has finally found peace, she can find peace, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I loved that. Maybe this was why I got that vibe, that I loved that she got to say the Force will, Luke says the Force will be with you, and she got to say always.
Oh, that got me. That was a sucker punch I was not prepared for in that trailer. And for her to get voiceover, because I don't think she had voiceover in any of the other sequel trilogy trailers. I don't think.
Not off the top of my head.
Not off the top of my head that I can remember. So it's nice for her to get a line. I know a lot of people who think they released the trailer on her birthday on purpose. I don't know that that's true, because it also was conveniently the 2-month period before the movie comes out. I think it was that. But I kind of wonder if they didn't also do that consciously aware that it happened to be her birthday. But that's one of those things you'll never really know. But it was nice either way.
Yeah. She also got top billing on the poster. It's a nice touch.
I saw that.
Yeah. So that's nice. Now, if they could just confirm whether or not Matt Smith is in the movie.
Right.
Which,
I keep forgetting that he was thrown out there as a name. And like, people keep bringing it up. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, he's like, there's certain, I don't know if it's on my theater, but like some theaters have him listed and some theaters don't. And what's weird to me is like, if he's not in the movie, why don't you just come out and say he's not in it?
Right.
But if he is in the movie, like, again, why not say it? Because I know a lot of people are theorizing that he is in the movie and he's going to be like a younger version of Palpatine. But even if he's a younger version of Palpatine, why can't you just say he's in the movie and just not say who he plays? So it's this weird thing.
I do think Matt Smith did say at some point, "I'm not in the movie," but I mean, no one trusts him. I don't trust him.
Right.
It's like, okay, man. I think they're just trying to keep something secret.
Yeah. That was to talk about Palpatine just for a second. When I was going through, I realized both that this made me really happy and how ridiculous it is that Star Wars can make me happy about this type of thing. But the shot where it's like the walking chair with Palpatine cackling at Rey, in the very last frame you can see fingertips, and I got really excited you can see fingertips, and then I'm like, why am I excited to see fingertips? That's weird. But that's what Star Wars does to you.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the things I saw most on Twitter about that shot is people speculating that the fingertips, that it, one of the Sentinel droids, not actually Palpatine.
Him?
Yeah. Yeah, people said they were red, which I'm like, I don't know if the color. I don't know. this level of speculation, I'm like, this is too deep even for me.
No,
I don't think they're red though. Like, I don't get that, but okay. How would either of you feel if it was Palpatine wasn't even back and it was like a rogue Sentinel droid?
I'd be okay with it. I think. Like, I'm worried about Palpatine's return. If this is all just part of Operation Cinder, which I think would be crazy if they were like bringing in Operation Cinder and book stuff. I mean, they're bringing in the Ghost, so why not? So, yeah, it would surprise me, but I think I'd be all right with it. Yeah, I'm looking at it. They look like just flesh-colored fingers to me.
Yeah. I personally, I feel like if it is just going to be like a life model decoy, basically, of Palpatine, I'd almost be a little bit let down at how much mystery they're doing. like I'm not let down with the idea of the story. I would be let down with like, okay, but why did you make this such a big deal? But it would then also ease my worries about bringing him back at the same time.
I think they know that if they bring Palpatine back, it kind of messes with Anakin's story a little bit. So I'm sure they're gonna try to address that. I think they probably put more thought into it than they put into Dark Empire.
Right.
Well, Dark Empire was a time where a lot of stuff like that didn't get any thought put into it. It
was just getting published.
I mean, it was just a sandbox where people could play. And like I remember at the beginning of Dark Empire, the writer, I can't remember his name, but he said like
Tom V.
Oh, is it Tom?
Maybe not.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
But he wrote down like this thank you to George Lucas for letting him play in his world, and he's like, all these stories are not like, he wrote this big thing about how the authors that are working in Star Wars now have the understanding that if George ever goes back and does a sequel trilogy, like it's not going to follow these stories. They're just getting to play around. So I always think that that's interesting when people yell about George Lucas's Star Wars and how Legends is his and stuff.
Right, like he had pretty much anytime Lucas got involved in Legends, it got more confusing because that's when it was like, okay, no, you can't have Anakin Solo do a thing. You have to make it Jason Solo because I don't want two Anakins. It's like, okay.
I recall fondly the heady days of the multiple levels of canon.
Yeah.
And explaining that to people.
That's S canon. I'm sorry. That's
yep. And then you added T canon for television canon. It was so good. People would look at me like I was nuts, and I was like, yeah. Oh man, so I was going through. And then what do you think is going to be the arc for Poe in this movie? Because we kind of saw him learning how to be a leader instead of a hero in The Last Jedi. Do you think, I remember you said in your, I think it was your Q&A with Molly, you said JJ might double down on him in this movie? Because he was supposed to die in Force Awakens. Sorry, I should finish my sentence. Do
you mean like he might kill him?
Yeah.
I hope not. I mean, I don't want him to, but like someone asked, who do you think is going to die? And I think that probably no one, but that feels like a cop-out answer to the person who asked. So I was like, if I had to choose someone, it would probably be Poe because the original plan was to kill him at the beginning of The Force Awakens. And Oscar Isaac said, just please no, and that worked. So I think based on what little dialogue he had, I would guess that his arc is still about being a leader. At the end of The Last Jedi, Leia said, like, don't look at me, follow him. And she's like proud of him for taking charge. So I think he might be stepping up. Now that I think about it, like that big room with all the Resistance people and like Lando and Poe and Finn, like I don't remember seeing Leia there. So Poe might be kind of becoming the face of the Resistance.
I was kind of thinking how in Return of the Jedi, you basically end up with the multiple storylines, and I'm assuming that the shots of the thing that coincides with things. I guess is that Poe will be being for that story file, whatever.
Yeah, he's got a new X-wing. There's no way they're not using it.
Right.
Right.
He's the best pilot in the Resistance.
Right. Exactly. I wonder then if Leia never leaves that jungle planet.
Right.
At the beginning of the movie. Like maybe they leave and Leia's like, maybe they go on this big mission, right? Like if they like go with Alex's thought of like it's like Indiana Jones at the beginning, they find the Death Star. And they figure out they have to go somewhere, then maybe they all go somewhere and Leia's like, no, I'm gonna stay here and like hold down the fort. This is your guys's fight. Because that would make sense because they really wouldn't have footage for her anywhere else.
Yeah. Maybe she'll be like the Gandalf of the movie. She'll pop up at the very end with some help or
riding
Right.
on an all-white Orabeck. It's a
Coming
big,
over the
big thing.
hill right at dawn.
She has like Ahsoka's staff, and she just shows up. And then I wonder where Lando comes in. I wonder how is he hanging with Zori? Does he just show up and is like, I want the Falcon? Like, what? I wonder what happens there.
I'm hopeful that he's just kind of like there from the start.
Yeah.
Like he's been part of the Resistance. He answered Leia's call at the end of The Last Jedi. He was just a little late.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to like make some reason for him to be around. He could just be there.
Yeah, I think people would buy that, especially if they know. I mean, for anybody who's seen the other movies, it'd just be like, hey, Lando's here.
I did see, since you mentioned earlier, shot of the Resistance people. There were like the back of his head, but a lot of people were pointing out that it looked like Snap Wexley was back in that shot, in some kind of vague, like people had circled it, and like I don't even remember like where in that shot it was, but
Oh yeah,
I've
I
got
saw
it pulled up, so now I'm looking around.
but it was like
there was a guy that looked like it was, because we know he is
I see. Yeah,
in it.
I think I see him right next to Poe.
Yeah.
kind of obscure, but at least familiar face like that.
Yeah.
One that a lot of people
Yeah.
got upset.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of them. Like, he had potential to be like this trilogy's Wedge,
Mhm.
even if he were just in a shot or two at the beginning of The Last Jedi. But I guess if he were there, he might have died.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of that specific spot in the trailer, that area where they're all sitting and Lando's sitting, does that look like the area that they're underneath could be the same area where 3PO is, or do you think that's a completely different space?
That looks different to me. But I don't know.
I mean,
I
I
heard
don't know.
I heard someone guess that they're all huddled underneath the Tantive V4.
Hmm.
That could be cool.
That could be cool. Yeah, because wherever they are with 3PO, there's all the other droids in the room. So it looks like maybe they go to Frick instead of. I just like saying the name Frick.
Yeah.
Maybe they go to Frick instead of Frick joining the fight. Is that area Batu? The jungle. That's the thing. Is Batu is mostly a grassland area outside of the outpost, right? With
Yeah,
spires.
I guess.
I don't know if it's
Babu Frick's shop could be the droid depot, and
yeah.
I think it has a specific name at Galaxy's Edge, but
still, speaking of the Tantive V4, I want this ship to be the last thing we see in the film. It could be.
That'd be interesting.
I think Batu is more likely to pop up in Resistance than in this movie now, based off of what we're seeing in the trailer. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's going to be some kind of call out to Galaxy's Edge.
Maybe it'll be in like the montage of everyone celebrating across the galaxy.
There's a montage, just a party at August.
But it's literally just a bunch of tourists walking around.
They like get like a live shot of Galaxy's Edge. Somebody walking around with their Mickey Mouse ears. That's one of those things that it would be so ridiculous it would almost make me laugh more than it would make me mad. I'd just be like, you know what? That's hilarious. But let's see. I liked how you brought up the dark ray from the D23 footage. I did like how that, like, the big money shot at the end of that trailer was dark ray, and then the money shot at the end of this trailer is Rey with her blue lightsaber. So you're contrasting like dark ray at the end of one thing with light ray at the end of this one. I don't know that means anything, but just from a footage perspective, I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
But and as always, I'm still really excited to know what the title means. Because again, it could be very simple or it could be very complicated.
I think it's probably going to be something kind of like Return of the Jedi wound up having multiple meanings. Return of the Jedi Order and Luke, but also Return of the Jedi Anakin Skywalker. Could be something like that.
Yeah. Because there was a part of me that wondered if Palpatine were to create some kind of weapon, if he wouldn't call it a Skywalker just to be a jerk. Like, just
he's done that before.
Yeah. Well, and that happened in Rebels, right?
Yep.
They made the weapon and called it the Duchess. So it would be on par. But I thought that would be kind of funny. Although it would be weird to name your last movie after like the super weapon of the movie. But if it had the multiple meanings thing, it would still work. But I just thought that would be kind of funny. Palpatine was like, ha ha ha! I made a 5th super weapon, and I named it after your grandfather.
I hope not. That's. I'm good with no super weapons for a little while.
I would definitely take wild, crazy Force stuff over another super weapon, but it would track with his MO. Like, there's a certain point where Palpatine's at least consistent.
Yeah,
you know, he's a guy that has a plan and he sticks to it.
It'll work this time.
One of these days, they can't stop all my super weapons. If you would just think of having like 5 super weapons at once instead of one over and over and over again, it might have worked. But
they take time and money to make.
It could always just be the Darksaber, as in to have Ghost Luke hanging with Ghost Callisto.
Oh boy.
That book will never leave me. It will never leave me. Ever. I feel bad because I've ignored the chat a lot, but you guys have had some really great stuff going on. I think they've been keeping each other pretty occupied. The big guns on the Star Destroyers. Yeah, I kind of think that not to talk about this trailer at all, but to compare D23 footage with the first trailer. The first trailer had the shot of Kylo taking out that guy that Vanity Fair said was a Knight of Ren and then retracted and said, we can't say it's a Knight of Ren.
Oh, yeah.
And there's all that red behind him. I wonder if that is whatever the shot of, like, something is shooting the snowy planet and you see the big beam. Like, I wonder if Kylo is having a fight. That's the thing. Like, I saw somebody else say this on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, if you look at all 3 trailers, it's like you see 3 different movies. And, like, I just don't know how all this stuff we've seen from all the footage could possibly fit together.
Yeah.
But somewhere they're on a snowy planet that is not like the weird ice space nebula place, because there's trees, and that's getting shot, and Kylo is in a fight, and who knows what's going on. And we've only seen the Knights of Ren on the desert part of Pisana, but, like, what do they do?
They've done a good job at keeping it all a mystery.
They really have.
We also didn't see the Sith troopers.
Nope.
Yet either.
Even though they're like 80% of the marketing,
right?
0% of the trailers. We'll see. And then I know there were some people who thought they saw the new Sith symbol on Palpatine's throne. I don't know if it's really there or if it's just conveniently looks like a diamond.
I tried to look at it and I couldn't really see it.
Yeah.
Maybe, but it seemed like a stretch.
But I'm curious to know what that symbol is. And, like, that's just another naming convention thing. Like, is it a Poe Jedi Warrior type thing where, like, why are these guys called Sith troopers? Because Kylo isn't a Sith and has said he doesn't want the Sith and blah blah blah. And so, like, did he change his mind? Somebody suggested to me that they could be called Sith troopers because they hunt Sith, not because they work for the Sith. But there was the plaque at D23 that said they work for the First Order. Like, all of this. I don't know what any of this is.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a 2.5-hour montage with no story. It's just going to be 2.5 hours of cool things, and then Ray Carson will have to fill in every blank
Yeah.
And that's
Tell
just
us what actually happened.
Yep. We'll be like, all right.
Or it could be like, the second Matrix movie where it just fades to black and it's like, hey, I guess we got another one of these that we didn't tell you about ahead of time.
Yes, a couple of people in the chat were saying, surprise episode 10. Which I used to secretly want until they were all like, it's the last one. And I'm like, okay, well, don't troll me with it's the last one and then do a surprise episode 10.
Yeah.
But prior to this marketing campaign, I was all for a surprise episode 10.
I'm glad it's the last one, if I'm being honest.
I mean, it's better to let a thing end than to have it just go on with no true direction on where it's going, especially because it's not the last Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It's just, we're going to finally get the conclusion to what they're doing.
I think there's going to be so much freedom in the next trilogies.
Yes.
Oh, sure,
you're not
yeah.
going to have to have all of the baggage with the Skywalkers and all these characters we've known and loved for so long. It's be like, nope, here's just a new set of people. Hope you like them.
Yep. Good luck. Well, I mean, it's worked well enough with Rogue One and Solo. It's just, to some degree, they're still tied to the greater films because obviously one has Han in it, and the other was directly impacting a plot line from the movies. But to get something like that, but then to not have it tied to anything would be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I got for this 2 minutes that we saw yesterday. I don't know if either of you have any more thoughts that you'd want to share.
I will say really quick that I really like the music.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and there was a lot of talk about how the score for this is supposed to include every theme so far. I liked how that was represented, like the little snippet we got.
I really hope that the really epic version of the main theme that we heard in this trailer and the key changed Yoda theme that we heard in the promo for the trailer. I really hope both of those are actually in the movie. If for no other reason than I want to be able to buy them. Even if they're not in the movie, just let me be able to buy them somewhere, and I will be happy.
I know that I saw @GetBlake on Twitter was the guy that composed that kind of second half of the music. So the amped up version of the Star Wars theme. So it wasn't a Williams thing.
Okay.
So I don't know, but yeah, follow him on Twitter because that was awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, even though it told me absolutely nothing, and maybe it's because it told me absolutely nothing, I think that's one of the best movie trailers I've ever seen. Just the way it uses emotion and imagery to get you psyched. I thought it was so well done.
Can't believe we have 2 months.
Oh, it's so close and so far at the same time. But yeah, after the long wait, the 1.5-year wait after Solo, just to get to go through this.
I'm ready.
But yeah, and we have the Mandalorian, and we have Resistance, and we have
we've got plenty to keep us busy.
Yeah. But that's what we have. Alex, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much.
Sorry we called you Andy apparently at the beginning of the stream. But it was great to have you on, and thank you for bringing so many of your friends. Several of you subscribed, which we appreciate a lot as well. I have a link to Alex's breakdown of the trailer in the description if you guys want to find that, but you guys have probably largely seen that already. If you're not, follow us on the things. There's things listed below and in the description. But yeah, thank you all for being here, and we'll be doing we're still rewatching the saga, getting ready for The Rise of Skywalker, still doing a book club, we're still doing Resistance reviews. So if you're new here, there's plenty of things to get involved with, and we'd love to see you guys around again. But thank you all so much for all of you being here, and thank you, Alex. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
See ya.